Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
editorial today, August 2, 2023, is saying. It says child labor or family support. Child labor or family support. Either way, no adult chore should keep kids out of school. Neither outright child labor, which could include all-day begging or family support, understandable in some circumstances, is ideal. So neither should deny any child the right to schooling. For more on this, you have to log on to the website of The Nation. And of course, the second editorial is on Ojoju LCDA's free buses. Ojoju LCDA's free buses. A palliative worthy of emulation by other local governments. Talking about Ojoju local government, council development area in Lagos State. Of course, this local council is offering free buses to the indigents. The LCDA should, however, consider converting the vehicles to run on gas instead of petrol to save cost. In all, it is a good initiative, and we employ other local governments to emulate it. For more on this, log on to the website of The Nation newspaper, www.thenationonlineng.net. From The Nation is also similar story with This Day. This Day has NLCTUC Adamat rejecting Tinubu's palliatives, say no reason to call off protest. NLCTUC Adamat rejects Tinubu's palliatives, say no reason to call off protest. That is the leading story on This Day newspaper today, Wednesday. Declare president silent on wage award fixing of refineries. NLCTUC say the president silent on wage award fixing of refineries. Hundreds protest in Kano over fuel price hike. Others. No room for violent protests. IGP warns NLC. Others tight security nationwide. Of course, we have a picture of Atiku Abubakar yesterday at the and his legal team yesterday at the tribunal. About that, we have tribunal reserves judgment in Atiku Obi's petitions against Tinubu. Atiku Obi Dati Adiche others storm court at final address proceedings. Burkina Faso Mali declares support for Niger military junta. Say invasion tantamount to declarations of war. Above the masthead of this day, we have Trump charged with efforts to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. Trump, that is Donald Trump, former immediate American president, charged with efforts to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. And above that, administrator screening, Wale Edun says Naira fair value is 700 Naira per dollar. At ministerial screening, Wale Edun, one of the nominees, says Naira fair value is 700 Naira per dollar. Hence on measures to boost economic recovery. Says Office of Accountant General of Federal Government should be created. Justifies plan to distribute $800 million cash to vulnerable Nigerians. El-Rufai, 1.6 trillion Naira subsidy on electricity not sustainable. Once this was taken away from banks management. That is the headline stories today on This Day. We move over to the editorial page of the paper to see what the Post is saying today, and that's the editorial of the day. The editorial on This Day says CBN and social media handles. CBN and social media handles. The regulation breaches the fundamental right to privacy. Where do we draw the line between the responsibility for national security and the right of individual citizens to the privacy of their personal data and communications? This is a question asked on today's editorial, CBN and social media handles on This Day newspaper. For more on that, for inside stories as well and continuation of headline stories, log on to the website www.thisdaylive.com. From This Day is The Punch. Like every other paper, The Punch leads with subsidy talks. Labour shows federal government begins protest as oil workers down tools. Subsidy talks. Labour shows federal government begins protest as oil workers down tools. How federal government NLC meeting deadlocked. Labour PDP berates Tinubu's proposed pay rise. IG orders AIG CPs to maintain order, prevent violence. Falana says protest lawful. Federal government probe as test flight plane crashes on Lagos road. Here we also have pictures, similar pictures of aircraft, the air crash plane, sorry, the helicopter that crashed yesterday in Lagos. We have some rescue team officers and citizens as well at the scene of the accident. 500 illegal courier operators under prosecution, says NIPOST. 500 illegal courier operators under prosecution. Task force officials extort 35,000 naira from motorists on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. The Punch. Task force officials extort 35,000 naira from motorists on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. Foreign trained doctors mass failure worsens Nigeria's manpower crisis. Foreign trained doctors mass failure worsens Nigeria's manpower crisis. We move over to the stories above the masthead of the Punch. Tinubu sends second ministerial list today. Direct interventions in power sector hits 7 trillion naira. Federal government. Niger, Russia, Burkina Faso, Mali oppose ECOWAS military intervention. Niger, Russia, Burkina Faso, Mali oppose ECOWAS military intervention. And from that headline stories, we move also to the editorial page of the Punch. And the Punch is on NSAS. NSAS, the story is still a developing one. NSAS, mass burial reopens need for new probe. NSAS, mass burial reopens need for new probe. For more on that, you have to log on to the website of the Punch, www.punchng.com, and of course for inside stories as well. From the Punch, we have the Guardian newspaper on our menu. Rising hardship, NLC defies truce, proceeds on nationwide protest. The Guardian's leading story. NLC defies truce, proceeds on nationwide protest. That is on rising hardship. Because we also have the pictures of the helicopter crashed on the Guardian, on the cover of the Guardian. We don't have the governor of Lagos State, Shirinmu, at the scene of the at the site of the accident. Consider FCT 37th Nigerian state for presidential poll. Tinubu bears court. Consider FCT 37th Nigerian state for presidential poll. Tinubu bears court. Senate shares El-Rufai from petition over insecurity in Kaduna. Foreign investment in equities market declines by 90.6% in 10 years. Foreign investment in equities market declines by 90.6% in 10 years. Of course, you move over above these stories. And danger averted as light aircraft on test run crashes on Lagos Road. Sit-at-home enforcers kill 250 people in 2 years, says Ohaneze. Falana warns ECOWAS leaders against attacking Niger Republic. Falana warns ECOWAS leaders against attacking Niger Republic. And from this cover, we move over to the editorial page of The Guardian. And we want to see what the editorial is saying today. Editorial page. Tuition fees increase inimical to higher education. Tuition fees increase inimical to higher education. For more on this editorial, the inside stories, and of course continuation of the headline stories, move over to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, we have blueprints next on our menu. Fuel subsidy removal amid threat of protest today. Federal government begs labor, police caution. Fuel subsidy removal amid threat of protest today. Federal government begs labor, police caution. Palliatives not enough. Protests must go on as planned. NLC-TUC insists. Palliatives not enough. Protests must go on as planned. NLC-TUC insists. Interventions, conversations ongoing. Bajabiamila pleads. We won't tolerate violent protests, IGP warns. And of course, just like every other paper, Blueprint has pictures of the helicopter crash at Oba Akron Road, Ikeja, Lagos State yesterday. Ministerial screening, 1.6 trillion naira subsidy on electricity unsustainable, El-Rufai. Ministerial screening, 1.6 trillion naira subsidy on electricity unsustainable, El-Rufai. Massive use of technology will block revenue leakages, Wale Edun. Presidential Election Tribunal reserves judgment on Atiku PDP's petition. 4 injured as helicopter crashes in Lagos. Subsidy remover, marketing PMS now unprofitable, Ipman. Again, Nigeria cost shorts OPEX production output in July. Nigerian forest market cap gains 1.8 trillion naira in July. CBN excludes mortgage microfinance banks from cash withdrawal limits. And of course, we are also going to the editorial page of Blueprint newspaper to see what the editorial is saying today. And the paper says stance is on the $500 million food security fund. For more stories on this editorial, inside pages of Blueprint and continuation of the headline stories, log on to the website of Blueprint newspaper, www.blueprint.ng. From Blueprint, we move over to Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard is next on our menu. NLC insists on protest as talks fail. NLC insists on protest as talks fail. IGP warns against violent protests. Federal government begs Labour to suspend protest. Labour says palliatives not enough to caution hardship. To brief organs on government plea to suspend protest. Ajero absent at meeting. TUC civil society allies direct members to participate in protest. Is police constitutional duty to protect Nigerians, NLC? And of course, just like other papers before it, Vanguard also has pictures of the helicopter crash in Lagos on its cover. 4 persons rescued as plane crashes in Lagos. 4 persons rescued as plane crashes in Lagos. Benue announces 15,100,000 allowances for corps members, doctors. Benue announces 15,000, 100,000 allowances for corps members, doctors. Subsidy, lead ban on fuel supply to border communities, senators, federal government. And sports, we are not scared of England, says Super Falcons coach. We move over to the stories above Vanguard's masthead, where we have court grants Emefiele leave to serve DSS DG order transferring him to prison after bail. Tinubu court reserves judgment on Atiku Obi's petitions. Junta led Burkina Faso, Mali won against military intervention in Niger Republic. Ministerial appointment, Senate screens El-Rufai, Umahi, Edu, Adelabu orders. Forest scarcity triggers 21% fall in I&E turnover to $1.68 billion. Forest scarcity triggers 21% fall in I&E turnover to $1.68 billion. From Vanguard, we also, just before we leave Vanguard newspaper, we want to see what the commentary is on today. Vanguard's commentary is on while our boiling planet, a call for action. Our boiling planet, boiling in quotes, planet, a call for action. For what that commentary is all about, in Vanguard, log on to the website www.vanguardngr.com. And of course, we move over to the last paper for review this morning on our menu, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun leads with anxiety as tribunal reserves judgment. Anxiety as tribunal reserves judgment is a deviation from what other papers are leading with today. Counsel to Tinubu, Atiku, Obi adopt final addresses. Heaven would fall if I'm declared winner. PDP candidate test court. We have proved our case, says Labour Party lawyer. Anxiety as tribunal reserves judgment. Counsel to Tinubu, Atiku, Obi adopt final addresses. Heaven would fall if I'm declared winner. PDP candidate test court. We have proved our case, says Labour Party lawyer. We have no going back on nationwide protests, vows NLC. Dismisses report of Sharhin rally. No room for violent protest, IGP warns. orders watertight security nationwide. Senate screens El-Rufai, Umahi, Ejun, 11 other ministerial nominees on day 2. Turbojet crashes in major Lagos streets, no fatalities recorded. 4 Nigerians rescued in Brazil survived 14 days on a ship's rudder. Troops destroyed more IPOB ESN camps in Anambra Imo forest. Arrest 5, injure scores. Federal government spent over 3 trillion naira to save power sector from collapse. NEST. Just beside the masthead, we have Nigeria's foreign reserves in dire situation. Senate wants. Nigeria's foreign reserves in dire situation. Senate wants. Cautions against further naira depreciation. That is the headline stories on Daily Sun today. Just before we leave, we have to also see what the paper is saying this today, August 2, 2023. The alarm over Nigeria's precarious situation. The alarm over Nigeria's precarious situation. And of course, the editorial started with former President Olusegun Obasanjo has warned that Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. He also called for proactive actions to halt the drift before more harm is done to the country. Obasanjo gave the timely warning in Abuja at the launch of a book titled Reclaiming the Jewel of Africa, written by a former Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, who had also served as Minister of Finance, Olusegun Aganga. And this is just the beginning of the editorial in Daily Sun today. For more on that, for inside stories and continuation of the headline stories, I want you to log on to the website www.sunnynews.com. Well, what we ask that is that for that on these first segment of the program, newspaper review, and from that we'll come to the end of the first segment of the show. My name is Winifred, but join us for the second segment of the program. I already have my guest in the house waiting. Don't go away, just stay tuned. Hey, good morning. Alaji, welcome back. We're calling you that and they say you're in
I'm doing my fancy.
welcome back.
Shifting a little. Okay. Yeah. We're good? Yeah.
Please, the mic. Move your mic.
I'm in, yeah? You're good?
Yeah. See all these men right now, there's anything wrong with my
So now we are using the big camera.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand.
I'm enjoying you. Did you stay up to a month?
No. It's just 2 weeks.
And you came down to
Leadership for God and country.
Almost 2 months.
I think some just came back.
Okay. Welcome back to the second segment of your breakfast show on television inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred But once again, and of course, with me in the studio for the second part of the program is a public affairs analyst, is also a political scientist, Suleiman Hashim.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure to have you back.
Yeah,
You just came back from Hajj.
Yes,
How was the experience?
it was good. It was good. Spiritual and refreshing.
Hope
We're
you pray
happy
for
to
Nigeria.
come back, of course.
should.
Who wouldn't? Nobody that would not pray for Nigeria at this moment. No.
Yeah, surely we sure deserve it.
Yes.
We are looking at most of the headline stories today is on the labor strike.
Yes.
What is your take on that, given the fact that the President Tinubu, has actually made appeals to the labor to share this strike?
Okay. Well, first of all, we're not really sure if is it a strike? It's a protest. Yes.
Protest
I'm
strike.
not sure.
Is it?
No, I think they are saying it's a protest.
Okay,
I'm
it's
not
a
sure
protest,
yet
not a
because
strike.
yesterday I was with one of the leaders
Okay,
of
we are
the
having-
affiliate
yeah,
group,
it's
and they
actually
said
protest.
it's a protest. So it has begun. And what I will even start by saying is, honestly, I really feel that in this country we need to really calm down and embrace this thing called democracy, right? I think all of these efforts are trying to insist that several arms that make up the democracy, because if you look at the labor, they are an integral part of the democracy, of a functional democracy. And when you don't want to allow them to exercise their rights and always insist that when they come up with some of these things, they must be stopped from doing it, or it gives the optics of that. Really, it's not good for democracy. So for me, the fact that the government has even allowed them to go ahead to do their protest today, I think it shows a lot of maybe, let me say, an intent from the government to perhaps let democratic forces to work, So the NLC is within their right to go out there to protest, to pay out all their grievances. The president has also made his own speech to say, this is what I want to do to ameliorate the imminent suffering that is there, that is clear. The apparent sufferings that are there of Nigerians. So how he wants to get that workable now, the National Assembly are screening his ministers. So you have to be fast to get them to
However,
office.
if I may interject anyway,
Yes.
because I want to find out, is the protest actually by NS, is it going to achieve anything at the end of the day, given the fact that the president has already admitted that there's nothing he can do for now to even caution the hardship Nigerians are currently facing? And of course, if you go through his lineup of palliatives, these 3,000 buses is between now and next year. It's not as if it's going to be. We're in the 8 months of the year.
Yes.
It's already going. And talking about increase in worker salary, it's also going to be up next year.
Yes.
So there's no actually immediate a relief to the hardship now. So at the end of the day, what is the
Exactly. So now let me ask you this question: when last did NLC, for example, was even successfully able to go on a strike? We can't even remember when last really the NLC was able to pull any. You understand that they were able to basically
NLC was virtually
sleeping. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that today's protest is able to hold, like I was saying earlier, for me is a very, very, very big kudos to the fact that NLC is back and up and perhaps ready to do something. So if they can be able to pull this protest through now, then we'll move forward. I'm sure that by the time they see, because I presume, or from the pictures we're seeing already, we can see that there's high level of participation.
Yes, there is.
From
because,
Lagos, I'm seeing some
there is
pictures
high
and what
level.
have you. Well, we don't even know what is going to happen between now and tomorrow, because from one of them who was talking on TV today said the protest continues for as much as the citizens are ready to continue to be in it. So we don't know what the days are going to, but definitely this is going to be some sort of a pressure on the government, because the optics out there, remember that the president has so much on his plate right now. The 1 week ultimatum that he gave to Niger is about to expire. That in itself is immense pressure Then you're now going to have this protest coming up. You're having a whole lot of the ministerial screening is there also, and so many other issues in one plate. So definitely, I'm not sure this protest is what the president is, anything that the president or the government would want to see. So I think it's a good pressure. And like I said earlier, these are instruments of democracy at play. So it is left for the government now to strategize and see how they can now probably nip all of this in the bud.
And you think there's any hope in sight? Because
you know,
but still on the palliative, even the state government, you have state governments to come up with those that are living, how do you call it, those that really need this relief beyond their poverty. And right as we speak, because they petition Buhari's list that the irregularities, and now state governments cannot actually come up with this. So what I'm saying that is not going to be so immediate.
You know, the thing is, my take on all of these things about Nigeria and the hardship is that whether anybody likes it or not, I think we're a country that has a lot of entitlement sense. Over the years, and so many years coming, people have been entrenched in this culture of handouts, of receiving handouts, and what have you. So the point, I'm trying to get somewhere.
With you, because even in developed countries,
I'm trying to get somewhere.
And the same time, they
Exactly. I'm trying to get somewhere, right?
Okay.
So the thing is, the government is trying to put up all of these policies. Unless you, the citizenry, also has a clear understanding of how these policies are and you key into them, eventually some others will be benefiting and you'll be there and perhaps still complaining. So what am I trying to say is that the citizenry on themselves, like what NLC is doing today, they're organizing themselves and putting up a protest. Honestly speaking, we also need to begin to speak to ourselves as citizens so we can organize ourselves in such a way that we can key into some of these policies. Because trust me, these policies will come and you will see that even if they do register now, you will still come and hear complaints of majority of people not benefiting from those things.
Yes, most of these end in the pockets of these.
So that is the point. But if you organize yourself, exactly,
there is to be looted, and at the end of the day, most of the beneficiaries will even still be their own.
But democracy
family,
is participatory.
Friends,
Democracy is participatory. So as long as you guys will keep quiet and relax and expect that whatever palliative or whatever you call it to come and meet you at home, trust me, they will loot it. But if you can organize yourselves and they see that, yes, these people have understood what we are doing, they are ready to key in, it's going to intimidate them to not even attempt. So what I'm trying to say is that our laid back and docile nature, we equally have to work on it if we want to see all of these things get to us at the end of the day. Because I know I was an advocate of something like this during Buhari. When the whole Buhari thing in 2015 came up and all my guys in Kano and everywhere, they were making it look, I told them, I was very, very categorical to them. I said, look, you will end up complaining for the 8 years if you don't understand how you key into some of the policies that he will do or whatever it is. So, and it happened like that to a whole lot of them who ended up every day complaining because they did not even understand what was going on. Even if it is the empower, they didn't know where to go and apply. Nobody was telling them how it can be done. So I think all of these areas, so the work to get some of these things effective is, trust me, is bigger than just what we're saying on the
No, the federal government did say that they were going to share 8,000 naira to every household. It's 1.3 million households identified as living below poverty line.
Yeah, but I think they have just done that, haven't they?
That 8,000 drew a lot of flack to the 70
I think they said they were going to review
that was given to the
National Assembly.
So what's
No, but look, to be honest with you, we have to also, because if we don't say these things and enlighten some people.
Yes.
I had written one article maybe about 3-4 years ago, I think in 2021, where I said, in Nigeria, everybody wants to be a chairman. And I see that from how I relate with practically everybody. Even my security man wants to carry the best phone. He wants to form. Look, we have to separate our levels. They said it in every office. And to be honest with you, I cannot come now and start to envy your privileges or what have you. So it is a situation where everybody is looking at to be the next person, and they want it to happen like right now. So for me, I've never been part of those people who argue, for example, that somebody will come and say, where is Atiku getting his voice or be getting? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I feel that they have paid their dues. In fact, I tell people sometimes, I say, let God bless me like Obasanjo or Atiku. Let me get to that pinnacle of my career and things done. So what am I trying to say in a nutshell is that the National Assembly is the National Assembly. In fact, it's one of the most important arm of the democratic setting, right? It looked from the point of view of being a crime, because they are an elitist organization in a democracy. So definitely you don't expect that a senator will end like you, who is in your own village. And so everybody has got his level. But the one that is for your own level, why don't you protect it and ensure that it comes to you? And you have left it, you're not even fighting for it, and then you feel like, so people have their privileges of office. It's just like saying Mr. President should not enter the Air Force One and travel. I mean, that is his privilege of being a president. There's no way you're going to stop that. So I think if people really allow themselves to continue to it gets into this envious cycle, really all those things are not. How much is how much Nigeria is the potential of Nigeria really as a nation to take care of her things? How many are people, even one person, check the subsidy. How much have we paid for subsidy in the past, maybe let's say 3-4 years? If you check the trillions of naira. So why are the masses not, for example, asking who are the people who collected those trillions of naira? Like the president said in his speech.
But the masses have been asking.
No, they haven't. They haven't been asking. They are more about how much they are giving out.
Have been asking, but the federal government up to now has not done anything.
No, they ask.
We're not talking about the present administration.
They speak very less about that. Things that matter most to them, as against checking salary of. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I mean, people will get their privileges of office whether you like it or not. So it's just like saying a shell worker should not earn the big money he should be earning. I mean, who would say that? You wouldn't say that, because I mean, he works in an oil company, so he will get the necessary things. So I think that, but we should concentrate on the things that matter to us. The president spoke about how it is rogues who have been eating the money of the subsidy. So maybe what we need to ask more now, if we're serious citizens, is how, please, we should know those who took all those monies for bringing no fuel to Nigeria, so that they can bring back that money, because that money now is times 100 of that 70 billion you are saying they gave to National Assembly to buy chairs and what have you. So
yes. Now, the second headline story I just want you to shed light on is that your views on this issue of ECOWAS ultimatum, 7-day ultimatum, and of course we are having some even countries in the West African region, like the Punch led with is one of the stories on the page of the Punch newspaper, that Niger, Russia, Burkina Faso, Mali oppose ECOWAS military intervention. And of course, our own son, SAN, Femi Falana, warns ECOWAS leaders against attacking Niger Republic. You know, Burkina Faso this day, Mali declares support for Niger military junta, say invasion tantamount to declaration of war. So there's already
the tension,
cacophony of voices. There's no unity. And why were ECOWAS issued 7-day ultimatum? AU, African Union, gave 14 days ultimatum. How do you see that? Is it going to be effective at the end of the day, now that we have a
no, you see, that's why earlier when I was talking, I said President Tinubu and the burden of leadership right now, they are not the best times for him. When he emerged as the ECOWAS chairman, all that he had said it categorically that he was against coup, and that we were going to work to see how to mitigate all of this coup. And when he also went to Nairobi, he emphasized the same. So now a coup has taken place in Niger, his next door neighbor, a member of the ECOWAS. And then you could see that after the coup, imagine that Kamala Harris placed a call on Tinubu. And also Anthony Blinken, the secretary. So that was to show you how, for example, America is taking the matter serious. So that means that there's pressure on Tinubu from the West to ensure that he takes care of this thing militarily or otherwise. So now, how is he going to maneuver that pressure?
Given the fact that there's already fragmented.
Already now Burkina Faso and Mali are issuing a joint statement, and what we're hearing is they are having allies with Russia. So you can see that the whole thing has taken an international dimension.
Everyone is giving 7-day ultimatum.
Yes.
You know, ECOWAS is led by our own president.
By our own president, and they seem to be, and they seem to have allies in the West, like America, because, like I told you, Anthony Blinken and African Union is giving, and then but we don't know who African Union is really affiliating with among the world, because this thing now is an international matter. But definitely we know that the ECOWAS, chaired by Tinubu, seem to be in ally with the West, right? With the Americans and the France and the rest of them. So we don't know where the African Union people are allied with, but that's why I'm saying it's now a very, 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 very dicey situation that our president would really require wisdom and perhaps prayers on how to wriggle out of it, because I am not sure that if the West puts their foot on ground about a thing, they will usually, especially something related to this entrenchment of democracy, and is anything they will want to shift on. And then with Mali and Burkina Faso now saying they want to support Niger, and then also attaching it to Russia. So you can see, I think it's a pretty broad one. So we would hope that God will grant our president the wisdom to wriggle out of it, because I think it's a pretty. I'm not sure we've ever been in this kind of situation.
We are in a precarious situation right now, given the economic realities in the country, and we both know that Nigeria funds is the highest
in ECOWAS, you know, definitely
80%, or if not at least 70%. So can Nigeria at this time, be
able to fund the war?
Exactly.
So these are but definitely if the West is up and supporting it, then they'll probably have to lend support, you know, one way or another to help that. But that's, you know, to be honest, these are not the best, and I think our leaders and our government officials, if before now they are taking anything like a joke, when you see some of our legislators sometimes talking about issues and laughing in the chambers, you'll be wondering, like, do these guys really understand how critical of a stage that we're in right now, and how much concerted efforts are required to be able to get things working? Because, I mean, you don't want to imagine if we would really have to choose the military way to go into Niger. I mean, the burden is going to be too much on Nigeria, trust me. You have internal, and then you're going to have external burden. So, and that's why, what for now, before any more events unfold, what we can just wish for the president is wisdom to be able to navigate through all of this.
Right, thank you so much. Yeah. Now, lastly, just before we go, another story making the headline is the issue of the presidential election petition tribunal, that yesterday all the addresses were adopted.
Yes.
And so the tribunal reserves judgment. So what are your connotations?
No, well, you know, all of the issues have been out there in the public glare. You know, all of the issues that have been presented, you know, adoption of addresses is just basically more like, but all of the arguments have been made, evidences have been tendered, witnesses have been called, and I think the whole addresses have also been submitted.
Yes.
So yesterday
they have
adopted, and then the court has now reserved judgment until the day it fixes, and so it will go back study. And but I think also that's another area that really there is, because I think for the first time the judiciary is about to undergo a very critical test. Yes. Because there is an absolute interest now in the democratic setting. Yes. I mean, look at who was there at the court yesterday. Chimamanda, who maybe hitherto back in the days you might think she doesn't even care about Nigeria's issues, but these are now showing. And I think yesterday or day before yesterday, Olumide Akpata, the former MBA chairman, has just gone to his ward in Benin to pick up his. And what did he say there? He said it's right about time he stopped complaining by the sidelines. So what that shows is that people are becoming more interested in the democracy, and so now by extension also becoming very, very interested in the judicial process. Now people are reading the constitution, people are understanding what this means, what that means. In fact, if you check Twitter and see how they are analyzing this court case of this tribunal, you'll be marveled. They have their group, they do it, they discuss it. Lawyers, very sound young boys, either abroad or Nigeria, come in there. And so practically is that to a large extent, maybe to a lot of them, they're even already preempting the so again, you know, the judiciary is under a big test. But I
you
also
see the hash slogan, all eyes on
judiciary is already so that's why I'm telling you, the interest,
even in Nigeria State, there was a billboard that was marked at all eyes on judiciary.
The interest is large. So I really hope, and with all of these other instabilities that we're talking about, I think the judiciary would do Nigeria a very great deal if they can be able, because I think their judgment will also be able to stabilize things. So let them make sure that in their judgment it is sound and it is clearly at least seen to be just. Yeah, you understand. And I think if they do that, then everyone will be quiet and calm. Otherwise, you may not be able to tell what will be the repercussion of some of these actions going forward. Because if you check all the coup going on in the other countries, they will cite that democracy is not working, and that is the reason why they are thinking to. So I think we should really work to stabilize this democracy and make it work as much as possible.
Yeah, I particularly like what you said, that judgment should be seen to be one that is
fair and just,
justiciable. Well, thank you so much. With that, we end today's program, Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. I've had my guest in the studio, Hashim Suleiman. Thank you so much. Welcome back from Hashim. My name is Daily da ThisDay, but tomorrow is another day, same station. Don't forget to join us. Bye.